About all right. Well, tonight we're basically going to talk about giving you time to work on your labs. So this tonight is all about getting writing done, exploring visuals, me talking extremely less. And so I'm only going to recap a few things. The video recording from Tuesday is available online. So if you want an in-depth a breakdown of the lecture, go for it. But let me go ahead and just share with you guys just a couple of quick recaps about what we're pretty much doing and what we're going to be creating today. So let's go ahead and break that down. So basically, you know, in like 1 minute, we went over the principles of design. We talked about just basically how to see design according to the elements of art, right? And we explored basically these fundamental core principles. I kind of indicated the 6 primaries principles, and we wrote a colored paragraph, right? And in that paragraph is pretty much how you're going to write your slides for your presentation. So tonight you're going to basically be looking for 10 images. Those images could be anything you want across the board. They could be posters, drawings, covers, you name it. It can be anything that you want, but it should be interesting to you because you're going to be writing a lot about that principle and that design. Okay. This is typically what your write-up or the slide is going to look like, right? So you're going to have, you know, typically, you know, a title of the art, or you can call it image 1, 2, 3 if it's a little abstract, and that's okay. But basically, you're going to have some type of identity on top of your slide, the image, of course, so we can see it, and then you're going to be writing about the principles of design. So in this sample, you'll notice that this student basically wrote a pretty extensive piece on it and mentioned all 6 principles. You notice it highlighted in yellow. For every principle, the student basically highlighted it to indicate that she wrote contrast, she wrote focal point, she wrote about the symmetrical balance, asymmetrical or symmetrical, proportion, harmony, and variety. So every design that you find should have those 6 fundamental core principles of design, okay? So there will be some time to look for those images. And I shared also a few of those samples that students had. So I shared like Ashley Roman's piece, and she did a bunch of anime and painting and art, and that's great. So you're going to generate a new document, a new Google slide, and every slide will basically look like what you see on your screen. Okay. And so everyone has their sample. And so I would base it off that color sample almost like exactly to it. Okay. You know, you have, you know, your green sentence opening, and generally they all start the same. You know, this image by so-and-so has multiple principles of design. Second sentence, what are those principles? The principles of design will be, you know, focal point. There's going to be contrast, balance, scale, harmony, variety, abstraction, if there's additional. And then your red sentences are basically each sentence talking about that principle, right? So if I had to zoom in, I think I have one zoom in slide on that. It would kind of break down to there's that lovely single phrase there. I have it set up into like almost like a single. It's basically going to be here. So, you know, this design has principle, right? And whatever that principle is, so identify the principle, because it is using and identify a specific type of art element or design element, color, shape, texture, or shade, right? So that's typically how you're going to break it down. I would say the red paragraph, the color paragraph is going to be your best setup there. And that's going to be sort of like the best approach to it. Okay. So it seems, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. I think we'll have more questions after we start writing those images. Okay. So I'm pretty sure folks are going to have questions about that. If that's the case, then I'll leave a little bit of time in class tonight so that we can do some one-on-one and talk about it and go from there. But I think this evening it's simply going to be looking for those 10 images, creating the Google slide, and then adding those images to it. Okay. Um, well, let's actually kind of go through the Canvas so that way we know where we're going to go with Canvas. When it comes to Canvas, and I have it here, switch over. We have this sheet, which are your principles of design. Okay, so this is going to be your best friend. This document, it is on Canvas, but I'll help you out and I'll include that right now into the chat. But this is going to be your list that you're going to refer to. Okay, and so this list has 2 pages, right? Principles and elements. If you are kind of like me, I like to have like multiple screens. You can have like one window open with this page and then another window open, which is your principles with your image, and you're just kind of going down the list, right? And when you get this, or you get a chance to print it out, you can use your arrows or use a marker or pen, and you can circle or put an arrow on things like contrast, okay, focal point, your balance, proportion and scale, harmony, and variety. So I would circle, underline, highlight those 6 core principles, because these are the fundamentals. These are like the core you're going to write about, right? And they will be in every single slide. So every slide will have these 6 that you'll be writing about. Not everyone is going to see them, right? But that's what I'm here for, to kind of answer questions and kind of direct you towards, well, what do you see more of? What do you see less of? What do you see that's very, very over the top or sort of exaggerated? Those would be like your harmony and variety principle questions that you would ask yourself to see, okay? Because typically students have a hard time seeing harmony and variety because it's so subtle of a difference. But that's good, because now you're getting deep into the details of the art, which will make you a better designer. So it's going to take you a little bit to the deeper end, okay? So if you have that, you can take a screenshot of this, or if you have it printed out, underline it, circle those 6 principles. But that's basically where you're going to live with those areas, okay? For contrast, when you're talking about contrast, then you could even underline, I'll use a little square here, but when you're using for contrast and talking about it, the way you talk about contrast is you talk about size, the shape, or the color, or all of the above. So when you talk about that, it's like, oh, how do I mention the contrast, professor? Oh, well, tell me if you see different sizes, or tell me if you see different colors or different shapes, right? And that's how you'll indicate it there. So on the sheet, I actually give you 1, 2, 3, the actual descriptions or descriptors of how you can talk about contrast, okay? And when it comes to balance, it's like, oh, professor, I don't know, like, if I say it has balance, then what type of balance? Oh, well, then that's 1 and 2 here, which is, number 1, it's either symmetrical, or which is the same on the left and on the right. Okay, if you fold the design in half down the middle, what's on the left is equal to the right. That's symmetrical, right? Most good design, famous works of art, are asymmetrical, right? It has a little a in front of the word symmetrical, and it means it's not equal. So it means not symmetrical, equal, not equal. So it's off to the left or off to the right. Okay, so those are typically what students I've seen miss when it comes to balance. It's like, oh, this design has balance. That's great, but please be specific. Mention symmetrical or asymmetrical. Okay, so I took it upon myself to just give you guys that extra sort of note there to put in your sentences, right? So 1, 2, and 3. These are your specific things you could say in your write-up about contrast. Okay, so that's going to be really, really helpful going forward. All right, let me go ahead and put that sheet. This is going to be your principles of design cheat sheet. So this will be what you will be looking at. Okay, and look at it a lot as you're writing. It's totally okay. We're just trying to get familiar with how to see it. Okay, so it's more about practicing the 6 and seeing the 6 and writing about it. So just throwing it out there. Okay, so this will be your best friend. Okay, if you need help with transition statements, like, oh, professor, when it comes to sentences, my paragraphs, haven't written in like, many, many years. It's a little bit off. How do I start my sentences? Like what, how do I make it flow differently per sentence? Then those are known as transition words. And so transition words are just ways to start the sentences, okay? So I give you 2 sheets here. This is a little resource. It's also on Canvas. But basically, these are words you start at the beginning of a sentence. So, another way, also, especially, in particular. So these are referring to emphasis. So if you're kind of like me, when I started out college, my writing skills were okay. They were not great. Then emphasis would be great because you're just talking about specific parts, which exactly what we're doing today. We're talking about specific parts of your write-up. So these are great, especially in addition, indeed, furthermore. I love using, first, second, and third. We notice this, and especially in particular, furthermore, in addition, indeed, right? So those are great ways to kind of structure your sentences because we want to start getting into the flow of a conversation. And it's one thing to see, it's another thing to talk about it, okay? So this exercise will challenge you. It will take some time. I don't expect everyone to be done tonight. In fact, I don't expect you to be done tonight. I'm expecting to at least see 10 images and a few well-written paragraphs, and then we'll flow till next week to make it do, okay? But I wanna give you time tonight, as much time as possible to do that. So we covered the cheat sheet, we covered the transition words. That's on Canvas. Okay, if you need that, maybe I'll need it. Does anyone want me to put that in the chat right now? So you can give me a little thumbs up. That way I can put it in the chat if you need the transition statements. No? Cool. Okay. All right. So we'll have that there. If you have no idea where to go and look for art, we were saying that you can go and use the Arts and Culture, Google Arts and Culture website. It's a really cool virtual place where you can see all your designs. It's really, really cool. Okay, so the virtual gallery is pretty awesome. And there's actually multiple galleries. So you can, if you don't know where to go, or you're not sure, you haven't seen art in quite some time, hey, no worries. Pick a museum here on the list. And within each of these museums, there is dozens, if not hundreds of pieces of art and design that have been photographed. Google kind of did the same thing for museums as they did with Google Maps. They went to the museums and took pictures of them all and walked through the actual museums themselves. So this is a great place to start. If you kind of don't know where to look for art, get inspired, see some cool images. I think it's just as important to find interesting design and art that you can bring into your work, right? But you can also bring in your own designs, your own work, and you can use completely different artists or websites altogether. So if you're into anime and you want to go to a different site altogether where there's anime design and pieces or clothing, go for it. Go use that. I totally encourage you guys to go in the direction of where your interests are. Okay. So use that. It'll help you tremendously. Okay. Sample slide, of course. If you just want to see that up close and personal and break how this student wrote it, hey, let's get you a sample slide. This is a really good sample slide for your write-ups. When you're ready, you can refer to that. Okay. And before I forget, I'll put in the transition words there. Again, this is all on Canvas under the activity, and the Canvas. So it's all there. I just gonna throw it in the chat just to save everyone some time on the loading, if your internet is having a little bit of a delay, things of that sort. Okay. So these are all resources to help you. Put them on screen somewhere as you're writing, okay? But first things first, we are going to just look for some cool art and find 10 cool images. So I want to encourage you guys to explore for a little bit, to, pull some imagery, and then create that Google document, okay? So that's going to be our game plan. Now, I kind of do this one of two ways. I either release you guys and then basically you know, I stick around and students, you know, come back at a certain hour to check in and ask questions, or students feel, or that's one way, right? And I'm answering those questions for like 30 minutes or so. Or, you know, we let you loose, we put the trust in your hands and we basically say, okay, guys, use tonight. If you need me, you know, you can email me, I'll be available, obviously, I can connect, and then we'll talk and go that direction. Slash meet up again on Tuesday to kind of follow up and see how things are going. So there's a couple ways we can kind of do this. So we'll just take kind of a vote. All right, if you guys would like me to stick around about 30 minutes to an hour just to kind of answer any questions, okay, I'm completely available, I can do that. And that's one option. The other option would be, okay, professor, just let us do our thing. And we promise we will have 10 images and a good amount, let's say half the write-ups, 5 of them minimum, on Tuesday first thing at 6:30 p.m. That's the second option, okay? So let's just do a, you know, thumbs up emoji for the first option. How many of you guys would like me to stick around? Questions, issues, concerns, you can give me a little thumbs up emoji. I'll be around for like 30 minutes to an hour answering those questions, and you can kind of do that. Okay, great. I will stick around for you guys answering those questions and give you guys specifics, so that's great. And then how many of you guys would like to go on your own, build the images, slash have minimum of 5 ready by next Tuesday, 6:30, top of the hour, and you give me a little thumbs up emoji for that one, and then you can go in that direction, okay? Okay, perfect. So we have about 5 folks there. So I have 5, I have 2, and then the rest of the class hasn't quite replied. So, so if you haven't replied, then chances are you'll probably want to stick around because it sounds like you got questions. So we'll do it like that, okay? All right, that should do it. Go forth, find some images, have some fun searching, guys. Begin some write-ups. If you want to email me between now and next Tuesday, just for me to check it, I'm available for that too. And just be like, hey, professor, just take a look. What do you think? And I'll send you some comments and we can do that too. Okay. All right. Cool. All right, guys. Enjoy. Have some fun. If I don't see you tonight, we will see you on next Tuesday. Get those write-ups in, half of them done, and we'll check them in first thing on Tuesday. Okay. All right. We'll see you then. Very, very cool.
So I have a question.
Precious, yes. Let's go.
So do we finish it by Tuesday, or do we do as much as we can until Tuesday?
I would say do as much as you can by Tuesday. I would say a healthy number would be like 5 of the slides ready by next Tuesday, because I mean, tonight, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right? So if you do 1 per day and get at least half of it for Tuesday, you should be in good standing. And that should be enough for me to kind of see where your writing's at and make some adjustments if necessary.
Okay.
Okay. And you can even email me anytime during, you know, between now and then, just to check. But you're going to follow the exact format as that write-up on the Google document. So I give you that sample. We did it together. It's also on the video, of course. So just follow that formula, right? 2 greens, 1 yellow, 6 red sentences, and you'll get to where you need to get with the assignment. Okay.
Okay.
All right, great. Look forward to
Thank
seeing
you.
all your work. Should be really cool. Okay, let's kind of go down the list here and kind of set it up. So let's see, Sylvia, did you have a question or any comments, things of that sort? You're good? Okay, you're sticking around in case there's any questions. Okay, perfect. Okay, Alexa, you're sticking around for any questions or concerns.
Yeah, well, sorry, let me close the door real quick.
No worries. If you weren't around Tuesday, then the video on principles of design is super helpful, and you can check that out.
Yeah.
You signed that?
I
Okay.
watched it already. I took notes. My question would be like for something not related to this. So I was gonna ask you after everyone like asked you questions about this.
Oh, so yeah, let me actually do a breakout room because I know there's some some questions privately that need to be asked. So let me create a one-on-one breakout room, and then if anyone wants to talk privately, we can go that route too. So let's go ahead and set that up, and then I'll activate it. Okay.
Cool.
And we'll get that rocking and rolling. Where is here it is. Okay. So breakout room. Let me stop the share here. And assign automatically, assign manually, participants choose a room. And I'm gonna rename this one-on-one. Okay, so one-on-one with Mr. Almina. Yes, time, about an hour. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk then, Alexa. If you want to click onto it, we'll go there. Everyone okay? Give me a few moments. I'll talk to Alexa. Louis, I think you wanted to talk also one-on-one. So, and then we'll go that. Okay, perfect. So let me go ahead and talk to Alexa. I'll get you in, Louis, and then everyone else. We'll talk publicly unless you need to go.
Oh yeah,
private.
you're gonna stop the recording or no?
Yeah, we're gonna stop the recording now for that and then set it up. Okay. All right. Thank you, James. Appreciate that. Where are we here? And we'll stop recording now.